Hi everyone, I'm Anthony Lin. I'm the OpenShift specialist covering Red Hat ASEAN. In today's topic, we'll be looking at both the Cluster and Network Observability Operator to look at how they are able to offer more than just simple monitoring to the administrators of OpenShift. We use it for observability, whereby we are able to extract further insights for us to be able to perform more actions on the cluster based on the information that is being retrieved from the UI dashboard provided by these operators. We also take a quick look at the OpenShift Lightspeed chatbot interface that we can use to figure out what is going on within the environment by chatting with the chatbot. So the Cluster Observability Operator provides us with ability to perform signal correlation and incident detection. We can also leverage on the different plugins that's available from a user interface perspective to get the visualization capabilities to help us in things like troubleshooting, distributed tracing, logging, as well as monitoring. Other than the Cluster Observability Operator, we also have the ability to install and run the Network Observability Operator in OpenShift. The Network Observability Operator helps us with areas such as network traffic matrix and tracing. It can also provide a visualization on the topology of the traffic flow and provide insights relating to how the traffic pattern looks like within the OpenShift cluster. We also have the ability to use the OpenShift Lightspeed as part of the operators that can be deployed on OpenShift. With that, we can use a chatbot that is connected to a large language model, leveraging on generative AI capabilities to perform things like troubleshooting, investigations, and to learn more about the cluster in general. Without further ado, let's move on to the demo, where we will look at some of these capabilities of these various operators that is available for use in OpenShift.
Hi, this is the administrator view of the OpenShift console. We have deployed a full cluster over here with control planes, infrastructure nodes, worker nodes, as well as egress nodes. The Cluster Observability Operator have also been deployed. We are able to see the different plugins that have been deployed over here as well. The Network Observability Operator has also been deployed in this particular cluster. We have leveraged on the service deployment model in this case. We have also deployed the Loki operator, one of which is used for OpenShift logging and the other one is being used by the Network Observability Operator. The Lightspeed operator has also been deployed. What we can see in the settings are as follows. We are able to see that we are using a local LLM that is being hosted in a GPU cluster, leveraging on the VLM for its inference service. We are using Llama 4 Scout 17 billion parameter model in this particular environment itself. We are also leveraging on the MCP servers, where it's able to perform things like cluster health checks on the cluster. We have also deployed applications inside the payment project namespace, which comprises of different services such as front-end, contacts, balance reader, the ledger, database, account DB, etc. Leveraging on the capabilities of the Network Observability Operator, we are able to see the traffic flows that goes in and out of this particular namespace. As can be seen over here, we have information relating to the traffic flow pertaining to the payment namespace, and we are able to see whether there are any packet drop that comes along in this particular environment and namespace as well. From a traffic flow perspective, we are able to see the flow of traffic to and forth between the different containers, as can be seen in this case. The SCP is set to standard, MAC addresses, collection latency, and we are able to see things like flow round trip time. There are other options that can be enabled in this case from a columns perspective, and we are able to see different information that can be turned on or off as needed. If we are interested in only a specific set of network traffic, such as those that contain drop traffic, we can also do a selection on packets that contains drops. The flow itself will then display all this information relating to flows that contains drops. So for instance, in this case, we are able to see drop state, how many packets were dropped, how big was the size of the drop packet, what was the reason for the drop, and information relating to the flow round trip time will also be shown over here. And we can also do things like exporting of this information. From a topology standpoint, we can also see a flow on how the traffic is interacting with each other. For instance, we can see that some of the traffic is coming in from infra node where it runs the ingress towards the rest of the container that is running in the environment itself. Zooming in into some of the links that is showing red in color, we can see drops and where the traffic is actually dropping from. So for instance, in this case, from the front end towards the balance reader, we have traffic that is dropping. So this gives us a very good overview on how things can look like from a flow of traffic perspective and helps us to do things like troubleshooting. We are now back to the console of the OpenShift environment. We can call upon the OpenShift Lightspeed chatbot to ask questions about the environment. For instance, I can ask what are the ports in the payment namespace. It will leverage on the MCP tools called the ports list in namespace to pull back information relating to the ports that is running inside the namespace. If I want to know more about a particular port, for instance, accounts DB, I can ask the chatbot to tell me more about the port itself. So it will leverage on another tool, which is ports get, to pull back information relating to this particular port. And it can tell you what is going on over here. For instance, it has a persistent volume claim and it is a Postgres database. I can also ask information relating to what are the incidents in this cluster. And it is going to call upon the get incidents tools to pull back information relating to the incidents inside the cluster. So for instance, we can ask a specific question regarding one of the incidents. And you can see that it is using other toolings to pull back events, list information relating to this particular incident itself. And you can ask, how can I troubleshoot this issue? So it can give you some advice on how you can actually troubleshoot the problem and try to resolve certain issues relating to this. So as can be seen from this very simple and quick demo, we can actually leverage on the OpenShift Lightspeed and the associated large language model, in this case the Llama 4 Scout, to try to figure out things that is going on within the cluster and try to remediate the problem, leveraging on the advice that can be given by the chatbot. Moving on, we can also leverage on other capabilities in the Cluster Observability Operator. For instance, if I were to look at all these different alarms that is going on inside here and select one that is related to a container that is constantly crashing. What can happen in this case is we have this ability to call upon the troubleshooting panel. And we can select the deployment, and then we can click on the focus. So what happened in this case is that we now get a correlation of all the different objects that is related to this particular incident. For instance, we can see the alerts that's relating to this, which is essentially the kube port crash looping alert. We get a list of events that is relating to this particular issue. We also know which node is running this particular container. We know that it is a replica set. There is a container that's related to this. The infrastructure logs are also visible over here. We can also see the matrix that is relating to this particular container that's crashing, and also the information relating to the deployment of this particular pod. So what really happens is we are able to leverage on the troubleshooting panel to figure out all the relationships across all these different objects and how we can actually reduce the time taken to do troubleshooting. And next, what I wanted to show in this case will be things relating to the Percy's dashboard. We are able to see matrix that's related to different services. These are the various services that's running inside the OTel collector namespace, in this case OpenShift tracing. We can see things relating to the request rate, error rate if any, and things like duration. For instance, if we were to look at things like the shop backend, we can see that there's actually errors associated with this particular service, and it will show up over here. So this is the new capabilities that have been released and something that will continue to be improved over time. If we look at the traces itself, you can also see that there are tempo instances that is associated with this. And other things that is set up and running inside the environment will also include things like the logs, which is leveraging on the logging capabilities of the platform. We can see application, infrastructure, and audit logs for the cluster. Other things that comes along could be things like the alert that is shown inside the environment. We can also look at things relating to queries of the matrix, like the CPU utilization. And if we look at the dashboards, we also have other choices to see all the different dashboards that is available over here. If we were to look at all projects, we can see the full list of dashboards that's related to all the different information that is available in this case. For instance, we can look at the network observability health status, things relating to the flow, global sampling, and other things such as the eBPF agent statistics, whether we have any errors that's coming in, the operator statistics, resource utilization in terms of the memory, CPU, eBPF agent for the top 10 containers, for instance, and other stuff. Network Health tab also shows information relating to warnings that could be going on in the namespace. For instance, if we were to look at the insights namespace, we can see that there are some issues that was detected. Too many packets were dropped by the kernel that was being recorded. All in all, we have a way in which we can perform observability at the cluster level. We can also leverage on OpenShift Lightspeed to help us to do quick troubleshooting and trying to figure out the issues and incidents that may be going on within the environment. Thank you for watching the demo.